Good evening, folks. Zach Cross here. So I just got home. I had everybody move who didn't currently have a parking permit that lives in that building there. And I had Wild Bill move over here because I figured that Marysville PD is getting ready to tow these vehicles, even though nobody called. Sure, there's parking signs posted. But we've got old Wild Bill's old plates registered on the parking permit. The only car that wasn't was my neighbor over here, who I knew got a parking permit because they discussed it with me, and my vehicle, which I just put a parking permit on. Now look, folks, we have one community service officer who was kind enough to go down here where the church is having a rummage sale, the brick one right down here on D. I can't remember if it's Episcopal or that's the other one, or anyway, it's the old church that's been around since 18 something down there. They're having a rummage sale if any of you want to go to that. And they had people unloading their rummageables, we'll just say. Now I noticed the PD had to stop them. They were backed up, hatch accessible. That was the community service officer, who's a volunteer. And you know, I know that those volunteers are important because they do a lot of the work that they don't have the manpower to handle at Marysville PD without them. But you know, we have many cities across this country with police shortages, and also because, you know, funding issues and different stuff, that are cutting back on shit like the dog pound and parking enforcement and speeding ticket enforcement and all this stuff, because crime is so bad and resources are so limited that they don't have the manpower to do the important stuff like solving murders and other stuff. And I know a lot of you, you know, you want to back the police just because the stupid liberal thing about defund the police and all that other stupid shit that doesn't make sense. But there's the good cops and the bad cops, just like anyone. And I'm going to tell you, a lot of us around here don't have faith in our law enforcement. Our last chief of police, Aaron Easton, probably killed his wife, Sarah Easton, who we've still yet to see justice for. Several PD officers from right here in Marysville under him went across the bridge that way to Yuba City, where the Eastons lived at the time. And many of them helped clean up the murder mess. And this is information most of you don't have. So what happened there is allegedly Aaron comes home and he sees his wife, Sarah, having sex with then Amanda Hopper, Sutter County District Attorney's husband. He opens up, he fires 2 rounds into Sarah, while the DA's, who's an assistant DA, by the way, is basically sitting in the chair trying to get his clothes on. Now, many of you may not know this, but there's about 2 or 3 or 4 swinger clubs around here. And pretty much, you know, these swinger clubs, pretty much, you know, a lot of the local oligarchy takes part in them. And I guess maybe they authorize that or okay. Both of them seem to be unhappy in marriage and, you know, doing what they had to do to keep it going. And I guess this was an unauthorized screwing from what I understand. Now, the cops from over here in Marysville, which have no jurisdiction back that way in Yuba City, wouldn't even let, allegedly, this is all allegedly for legal purposes because we don't know, but the pieces seem to line up. I heard about what had actually happened the day after it happened from some people who heard it from the rumors in the Sutter County DA's office. So anyway, we had Marysville PD over here stop Yuba City PD from going in and investigating until they got done doing what they were doing. That includes, allegedly, our new chief, Chris Sachs. And I hate to bring this shit up, but as long as there's no justice for Sarah Easton and a serial killer / rapist wandering Marysville, along with all these people being trafficked around here that you read about and everything, it kind of is hard to have faith in a local PD that probably did, we know one probably murdered, and the other one, at least some of them, helped cover it up. Now, here's my gripe, right? You can see over here where me fixing this the first time, about $700,000 or so went into fixing that up. When I lived here, where the homeless snuck in and burned it down with their drugs and stupidity. 25 years ago, though, I lived here. This was falling down, and so was the blue building over there that my neighbors live in. Now, Ron Goldfein fixed it up, but since fixing up, the homeless snuck in here and they set some kind of fire in there that caused some smoke damage. By the way, if you're looking to buy it, this is the old steel manor, lots of history. A lot of work's been done into restoring it. I believe there's smoke damage in there because they set a fire. Now look, I fixed this real nice the first time. I wired it up. I used zip ties and wires, which you can see that they cut. That's what the Prowler was doing from one of my other videos the other night. They were cutting in, so I had to do some creativeness here so I could see when they were trying to break in again, because the owner of this, Dan, or one of his workers, fixed up this side where it was harder for them to get in, even though they still try. Now my whole thing is, look, if you have time to do traffic and stuff like that while there's still crimes going on that are unsolved, and there's homeless keeping people from doing business with our local businesses, feeding the coffers and other stuff, maybe focus on that. Maybe prioritize like these other PDs that are limited on resources, and kind of move away from the the revenue generating of impounding vehicles and traffic stops and all that other stuff, because there's plenty of crime to be handled. And I believe the community service officer who goes around in the morning and is worried about parking and stuff would be better used to roust out the homeless, which are not only causing damage and break-ins and all this other stuff, they're making it where people don't want to shop at certain businesses. Right over there is one of their hangouts. You can see the sidewalk's nasty, where they've pissed and shit and puked and did their drugs. I've seen people shoot drugs there and walk down this sidewalk slowly, stripping clothes. Winter, rain, sun, whatever. Stripping clothes after firing whatever drugs into their body, throwing the epidermic needle down on the street with them for some kid going to school, because there's kids who now moved back into the downtown with the housing crisis, what it is. Why are these not being prioritized? It seems to me like the community service officer would be better off rousting out the homeless and enforcing those ordinances, basically, instead of dealing with parking. Now, I'm gonna go correct Wild Bill's license plate in the morning. I've taken time out of my day, which was unplanned, to do that. And these two nice ladies here who live in that building are gonna go get their parking permit handled. That's the other thing. The web page the city has doesn't even work most of the time. It didn't work for me. I had to go down there in person, not once, but twice. Once for Wild Bill and once for myself. And, if you've got a web page that doesn't work, and I understand they've given people plenty of time to go do that. I warned my neighbors about the parking permits also, and Wild Bill. But look, there's all this other stuff to do that the citizens would rather see their tax dollars go for, especially being this is one of the most well-funded PDs per capita in the state, and we have some of the highest crime rates per capita in this state. Shouldn't it be more important to do the things that benefit and beautify this community? I don't think enforcing parking on a weekday, when the only time really this place is full is on Sunday, when we've got 3 churches going and often a funeral. And let's prioritize some things here. Like, I get it, you guys have been using excuses of government inefficiency for years to do stupid stuff and get away with it, and people believe it. Oh yeah, we've had to deal with the government. But that's being used as an excuse. Anyway, let me know what you think, if they should prioritize rousting the homeless out so more businesses can flourish, and dealing with some crime and other stuff that's a little bit more important to most of us, or if they should keep worrying about parking tickets for asset forfeiture when people are having a hard enough time in this state as it is, and in this community. I mean, it's ridiculous. They've got most of these downtown areas. We're competing with our own tax dollars for rent, as we have people gaming the system through Section 8 and like the stand down there, along with these other homeless programs, charging like paying $1,400 rent for a 10 by 10 room at the Ures Hotel, let alone these other places. Why should we be competing with our own tax dollars? And it's never enough for these government bureaucrat bastards. Anyway, God bless. Let me know what you think, if we should prioritize crime over parking infractions, or make where they enforce parking when somebody calls and complains, you know, or it's apparent that it's an issue where it's got cobwebs and hasn't moved in 6 months or whatever. Let's see what you guys think. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe prioritizing crime doesn't seem to be very important to the rest of you. Maybe you're right. Maybe we should have them prioritize the dog catcher with our funds and basically parking and our resources. Even if they're volunteer, folks, even if they're volunteer, they could be doing more important work. Anyway, I've rambled enough. God bless. Good night. Let me know what you think.